How you doing, folks? I'm Mike, and you're watching the Michigan Woodsman. Thanks for tuning in. So this is part 3 in the ice fishing series, getting ready for the season. It's going to be a short video. I just want to kind of go over the pros and cons of the different bait buckets that I have and that I've used. So stick around, guys. A few things I forgot to mention. When you go out on the ice, always have a backup plan, a safety plan. You know, let your folks, your wife, your husband, whoever, let somebody know where you're going, what your plan is, when you should be back, this kind of thing, and then check in with them. Make sure you have a physical map of where you're at. If you have a Garmin or whatever, what I like to do is save the location of my truck, shoot a text, screenshot the coordinates or a description of where the truck's at to the wife, and then where we plan to fish. Now things change on the fly, and you're gonna have to scoot around. So, I mean, when you're moving around, if you get to where you don't have to do it when you're just scooting around checking things, but once you get to where you're gonna set up, be there a while, save the location, forward it to somebody, just in case. You never know. Also, the other thing, as part of that story I just told you, our mistake was we had all the propane for heat, and we already had a shelter set up. In those kind of situations, I mean, for us it worked out, but in a lot of situations like that, you're better off if you already have a shelter and you have heat. Hunker down and wait till the storm's over and to where things clear up, or wait till morning, or this or that. If you have the shelter already and you already have heat in there, you're foolish to tear all that down and then try to travel blind with no communication, nobody knowing where you're at. So in hindsight, looking back, that's what we should have done, and that's what you should do. Make a plan, let somebody know what you're doing, what your intentions are, send them your locations. I know it sounds like it's overboard, but you'll be happy you did if you end up in a crazy scenario, and it can happen. So, and then like I say, if you already have a shelter and heat, stay there, hunker down, wait it out. It's inconvenient, but that's a lot better than the alternative. So anyway, guys, I appreciate it. I'm going to leave this one alone for now, and when we come back, we'll do a video on the different bait buckets that I use, the pros and cons of them, and this and that. And this will just kind of progress throughout the different things here. All right, guys, it's a pretty simple, straightforward video on bait buckets. I just wanted to kind of go over the differences and some of the options out there, and these are the ones that I've used, that I have experience with. So I just want to show you the different progressions, or the different levels, I guess you could say, of bait buckets. And none of them are horrible, but there are differences, there are improvements, there are some that work better for some situations than others. And I just wanted to go over a few of the things with you. For starters, I mean, bottom of the barrel, plain Jane, a couple dollar styrofoam bucket. I mean, that's it. This is where you start. I mean, nothing to it. Styrofoam. If you're just walking off the beach right out in front of your cabin, maybe this is enough for you. This will do the trick. I don't use one of these anymore just because I've upgraded, but this is certainly a place to start. It's certainly viable. It will get the job done, but this is pretty much bottom of the barrel here. This one right here is a few years old. It's survived. It hasn't gotten a lot of use. But some of them don't even last one trip before you've already broke it. You get things jumping around in the sled, especially if you're hauling it with a snowmobile, and next thing you know, this thing breaks open and fills your whole jet sled full of water and minnows. So I don't really recommend these unless you're just starting out or it's the only thing you can afford. If it's all you can afford, then by all means. But get the best that you can afford. And for me, this ain't it. This isn't it anymore. But the next upgrade from this thing is this guy. This is a Fravel, I don't know what they call it, dual bait bucket. It's insulated, it's got a styrofoam liner, and it's got an aerator on there. These batteries actually last a long time. I used the same batteries for 2 full seasons. Now my bait bucket wasn't being used every single time, but it really does last a long time, and it works pretty good. The only thing that I don't like about this, it's irritating. This thing falls off. You know, you're going to want to screw it on or strap it on or do something to make it stay. I had a little strap that I put around it to make it stay in place. Just things you got to figure out when you use it, you know. But this is pretty small. It don't hold a lot. Now, the other irritating thing is you stick this in your jet sled and you haul it and you're on some rough, icy stuff. It's going to jink. It's going to bounce around. You're going to slosh water all over the place. So if you are going to use one of these, then when you're hauling it out to where you're going, you know, don't have it completely full of water. And then also you can pop the lid off and put a plastic grocery bag over it, pop the lid back on for hauling it, and that usually knocks down most of the water that would slosh out. You just got to deal with that when you get where you're going and pull it out and this and that. So something to think about if you are going to use this style. It's got a bunch of holes on top. Water will slosh out if you're not careful, so just minimize how much water you put in it. Put a plastic bag over it if need be. Think about how to make sure this thing stays without bouncing off. This is a dual bait bucket, so there's room up there if you want to put some waxies in there or some spikes or something along that line. You can certainly do that. And this is pretty decent. This is what I use. I mean, I used this for a few years, but that was irritating to me with the way the mess of the water. This thing isn't very secure to, you know, as far as keeping water inside of it, and it doesn't hold a lot. I mean, that's not, you know, when we go up north, sometimes we spear, and there was no way we could put a sucker minnow in this thing, not the size that we use as a decoy. So you need something a little bigger, something a little more secure, especially when you're on the big water. So a couple years ago, I seen a friend of mine had one of these bait coolers. I think it's by Angle. Bait cooler, and that thing's strapped nice and tight and closed, and it's solid as a rock. It has a lot of space, so it really works well, and the aerator stays on real well. So I ended up upgrading to that, and I'll show you that. I just bought it this year. I just bought it like a week ago, less than a week ago, and I haven't even opened it up or put it together yet. But I've used these, that my buddies have them. So this is great for me right here. This is a perfect size. Now the other one I just sat down, I would still bring that with me empty. And because of all the room and because we're hauling it with a sled, I'll go ahead and bring that with me. Because when I go check tip-ups and all that, I don't necessarily need to drag this big old thing around with me. I can just take that, put enough water in it, throw a handful of minnows in there, enough to rebait my tip-ups if need be. So I bring that along because I always, like I said in the other video, I bring my smaller jet sled with me anyways, because that's what I'm going to use to drag around to the tip-ups, to maintain and check up on the tip-ups and all that. And that's, for me, that's where that bucket shines for me now. I bring it along, and then that's what I just haul around for checking tip-ups. So there's still a use for that. There's still a place for that. And for that matter, you could do the same thing with the styrofoam one in the beginning. You know, if you wanted, you could use that for lightweight. Doesn't take up a lot of space. You can put stuff in it, and when the time comes, you can use it to go check tip-ups. So they all have their uses. Just depends on what your style of fishing is or what you do. But so for this cooler, it has the attachment right here for the aerator, and it holds on there nice and secure. It's got a spot right here to mount the fishing net, or slop a net in. There's one on both sides. These latches close, and I mean, it holds. You can fill this thing up, and like I say, I just got this, so I haven't actually used this particular one, but it's got a carrying strap as well. It's It's got a nice pump, and it stays nice and secure on the side of this thing. You're not gonna have to worry about that falling off or bouncing off. So there's that, and then another great thing. Here, I'll sit this down for a second. What I like is this insert that it comes with. The insert stays right there like that, so you put your bait in there, and you don't have to sit there and use one of those nets and sit there and chase it around or do all this. You get your hands soaking wet. You can just grab this thing, lift it up, and they're right there for the taking. No chasing them around through the cooler, going halfway up your forearm to try to grab some bait. So for me, this is I'm looking forward to using this one this season. Like I said, I've used them before. I was real happy with them. It is expensive. It's $80, but it's one of those things where if you can afford it, get it. I understand not everybody can, but that goes back to the whole, buy the best you can afford, and that's kind of what we did here. Yeah, so I guess that concludes it. There's not a whole lot to say. There's not a whole lot to say about bait buckets other than these are the different systems I've had and I've used, and like I say, just because you upgrade doesn't mean you got to throw away the previous one. I mean, there's uses for it. I don't, like I said before in the other video, I don't take all this whole huge setup every single time to go ice fishing. It just depends on the lake, the location, how far we're going, how many people are fishing, what the weather's like. So it all depends. You don't always use all the same stuff. So it's nice to, if you can afford it and upgrade, that's great. But keep the thing. Don't get rid of it unless you have to. Hold on to it, because there's going to be there's applications for some of these other things, or uses, for some of these cheaper things. I got some cheaper tip ups, some different rods and reels and upgrades, but there's some stuff I don't just mind throwing in the bucket and just having it there just in case. So nothing wrong with upgrading when you can. If you can't afford it, that's fine. Make use of what you got. But when you do upgrade, there's still a use for that cheaper gear. Don't ever turn into a gear snob where you can't fish unless you have this or you have that, or what have you. But anyway, I'm going to quit rambling. That's it as far as bait buckets go. And some of this gear, I'm going to go inside when I'm done with this. I'm going to take all my rods, reels, tip ups inside, and I'm going to do that stuff in there. It's 20 degrees outside. I have the heat on in the garage, but the garage is pretty big to be heating, so I'm going to go in there and do that. I'm not going to bore you guys to death with long videos on respooling all this stuff. I might take some shots where there's no talking, and you can just get a couple clips of me spooling the stuff up, But as far as some of the other gear goes, more than likely this thing might conclude with me, when I'm out actually fishing. I might show you my, electronic setup or my auger or some of that stuff in use. So I don't necessarily need to sit here like I did with the bait buckets and go over every little thing, because I'm not a gear guru or a gear nut. I'm just giving you guys what little bit of information I have. So. Thanks for giving me your time. Thanks for stopping by the channel and watching. I appreciate you guys following along. Stay tuned. We've got a couple more parts and a few more things to go over in this ice fishing series, and then after that, we'll be doing some ice fishing trips, taking you along. So, like I say, once again, thanks for your time. You guys get outside and enjoy God's creation, and be safe when you're doing it. We'll see you on the next one.